Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. This is the show where visionary builders share how they're weaving artificial intelligence into the DNA of their startups. Today's guest is Katherine Von Jan, or KVJ. She's the founder of Tough.Day, a company built on a deceptively powerful idea. If you can identify and solve small problems before they snowball, you can transform everything: culture, performance, even your bottom line at work. Katherine's mission is about human-centered tech backed by data and empathy. Tough.Day is already making waves with fast-growing tech and professional service companies. Think teams of 100 to 2,000 people who know that growth doesn't mean chaos has to win. We talk about her favorite AI tools like Perplexity and GPT, but also why she wishes there were more solutions built to catch the little frictions that slowly erode your team's momentum. If she were entering college today, she'd be diving into arts and humanities, because to her, AI's greatest strength is still its connection to human beings. Let's dive in, but first, some business. This episode of AI for Founders is brought to you by kitcaster.com, the platform that turns high-growth founders into podcast rock stars. Here's the deal. Founders need distribution. If you're in public and you're building, scaling a new product, or looking to close your next round, podcast interviews are your secret weapon. Kitcaster gets you booked on top shows in your niche, where your story actually gets heard by the people who matter: buyers, partners, and investors. You talk, they listen. Kitcaster by MoBurst handles the rest, from outreach to scheduling to prep. It's like having a world-class PR team dialed into your growth goals on podcasts. So if you're ready to stop lurking and start leading, visit kitcaster.com and apply today. That's Kitcaster by MoBurst.
Shining stars, computer light, AI, take the flight, in the glow of neon bright.
Jay, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm actually charmed. Anytime I can speak to somebody who has a 3-letter acronym, for their name, it's incredible. Katherine Von Jan, KVJ. How long you been KVJ?
Oh my gosh. 2004, I had a boss who could not say my name, and just started calling me KVJ, and everyone that worked there called me KVJ, and it just stuck. So it's been a while. Yeah.
Sounds like you should be in contention for the NBA MVP.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah.
That's great. For context, as we're just starting to have this conversation, tell us about Tough.Day. This is your company, and explain it to me like I'm 5, because emotionally I pretty much am.
All right. Well, Tough.Day is AI that will help workers navigate tricky situations at work the same way a manager would. And we also help managers through their tough days as well. So we like to say we're augmenting the manager. We're not replacing the manager. And that helps good managers really scale and grow into great leaders, and gives people on their teams and them a safe place where they can go and talk about anything in a trusted, confidential way, and get objective expertise. And the expertise is in the realm of HR, management best practices, employment law, and even their own organizational knowledge.
Cool. And so I'm a manager. What's a use case? How would I use Tough.Day?
Oh gosh, there's so many. So just to start off, performance review time. Let's say you've got to work through developing your performance evaluations, and let's say you have someone who's a little bit difficult, or someone that you have to deliver some have a tough conversation with. Tuffy can really help you sort through what is relevant for those conversations, practice and role play how to have that conversation. Tuffy can help you determine whether or not something is just like an emotional thing that you're experiencing, or if that's something that is really relevant to the person. So like, if you think about all the things you might want to say to somebody, how do you figure out what are the most important things to say? Tuffy can help guide you through that. But really the use cases for a manager are endless, including managing up and how to have a conversation with your boss and work through your day. So those are some of the things.
Cool. And then what's the interface? Is it a chat interface?
Yeah, there's first and foremost, it is chat, it's text. Voice is on the roadmap, and we're playing with that to get it right before we launch it. I know a lot of people that will want to have these conversations in a car on, via voice, but in the workplace or when they're at home, most people find it easier actually to text about difficult things and write about difficult things than it is to say those things out loud. So it creates that feeling of safety. And then in addition to having a chat interface, we do have agents. So there are things that Tuffy can do for you on the back end. Things like going out and collecting feedback from your colleagues. So if you tell Tuffy, like, look, I just finished a project, I'd really love some feedback from some folks, Tuffy will go out and collect that feedback for you, synthesize it, and help you understand, how you did and what you could do to improve and those kinds of things. Tuffy also sends you a journal entry every Monday and lets you know, these are the things we talked about last week. As you move into this week, here are some things to keep in mind. It might even suggest some additional reading or videos or what have you that could help support you. And things like having a one-on-one with Tuffy. So Tuffy will schedule a check-in with you so that you're always ready for the conversations you might need to have around your organization. Like, what are you celebrating? What are you navigating? What do you need help with? You should be on your game all the time at work so you can get the help that you need.
Such an important tool, and so cool that you're bringing this forward because, I have a small organization and, we've sent millions of emails, and email is awful to decipher intent, to read emotional content. Some people use sarcasm and wit in email, which doesn't land sometimes. To be able to have trusted AI that can kind of help you through and translate some of these things is crucial. And I think probably a lot of us are using that already with GPT, let's say, where you're like, I got to respond to this spicy email. Let me run it through GPT a couple of times to make sure. So how does Tuffy kind of differentiate or amplify the positive attributes as opposed to GPT?
Yeah. So first of all, we have some unique content that is not in any of the big LLMs. So as an example, Harvard Business Review content or Harvard Business Publishing content. CharterWorks is a big partner of ours. We have all of their content. We partner with authors, experts, consultants who have thought leadership that is just not in those LLMs. So it's highly curated knowledge to begin with, plus all your organizational knowledge. Should your organization buy this for your folks, then we can ingest anything that you would use to onboard a new employee. We can ingest into Tuffy and make Tuffy smarter about your organization. Like, how do performance reviews work around here? Or where do I go for this kind of information or that? The unwritten rules of an organization. So we bring some things to the table that the big LLMs do not. We partner with all the LLMs, so we're big fans and friends. The other piece of it is the curiosity and the personality of Tuffy. So we designed Tuffy with therapists, managers, HR leaders, and lawyers sitting around the table and learning how do they interact with people when they are consulted. And we've built Tuffy, that people call our AI Tuffy. We've built Tuffy to be as curious. As you know, if you go to a lawyer and you ask a question, you're never going to get advice. You're going to get 10 more questions and you have to share a bunch more context. And ultimately what we want to do is help people understand the full context of their situation and then diagnose what actually is going on here. What kind of help do people really need? And then pinpoint which kind of content within our platform is the right kind of content or framework for that. And then that's really precision advice, personalized and precise to your situation, contextualized to your situation. And the LLMs are not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great use of AI because I think to your point, what you said kind of really rang true with me between therapists and attorneys. Attorneys will keep hitting you with questions because they're trying to pad the bill. We know what they're up to. A therapist, we go to therapists with the assumption that there's some kind of word shaman that either through like me talking or them talking or the synthesis of that, like there's going to be some kind of like insight that's going to change my life. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
certainly it does do that. That's why I like podcasting. Like the dialogue experience has a psychedelic component to it. But,
Yeah.
the problem with Western therapy and I'm not throwing the whole thing out, but for me, is they always want to diagnose you with some kind of pathology. But largely that's because that's the only way that you can seek treatment is if something's wrong with you with Western medicine. So you go to a therapist and you're like, hey, I need someone to talk about this. It's really hard. And they're like, well, that's cool. So you have all these letters associated with you. That's who you are and why you are and whatever.
Yeah.
You're on this spectrum, that spectrum, all these letters and all of these things, which I think is probably really helpful for some people, taking emotional content and making it biological. But if you're not interested in that, then it could be challenging. Now, AI can give you the same association of words to create kind of an insight, especially if it's asking you questions without padding the bill. It's like allowing you to tell your stories without saying you're a psychopath.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it can provide it. So like in this use case for work, extremely important. Now, would you say this is mostly internal facing communications or is this everything, internal and external?
Well, interesting. We actually, our platform lives outside the organization so that we can provide a completely confidential, trusted experience. So although we may ingest your content, your organizational content into Tuffy to customize it for your organization, when you log in as an employee, you're logging in to validate that you are an employee and that this has been purchased for you. But then we ask you to sign up with your personal email and personal device, just the way you would if you were signing up for a medical service or mental health service from your company. You're probably not using your company email for those things. Then you're entered into this Tuffy experience and you have the complete trust that anything you say and however you say it will not be held against you. No data goes back to the company or, no identifiable information goes back to the company. So what the company gets is a dashboard with anonymized trends about the issues that are impacting their people. They get to know what the adoption rate is and whether or not people are using the service and what they're talking about. And that's all they really need to know to have a weather vane of what the issues are inside their organization. But from a personal perspective, it is Tuffy is your trusted AI where you can go and you can say and ask anything the way that you want to. You don't have to wordsmith it. When you go talk to your manager and sometimes you're like, oh, I know I got to say something a certain way or it's going to come back to bite me. You don't have to worry about that with Tuffy. And I think that's what creates that level of trust.
How does it not devolve into gossip and hearsay?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think this is the nature of curiosity and Tuffy redirecting and asking a bunch of questions. The premise of this is that we're not all a lot of people come into a situation emotional and maybe angry or frustrated, and it's somebody else did something, and Tuffy's going to get curious about that and kind of lead you to think about things differently. Like maybe you are part of the issue and it's not, if you start to see a trend and you're having the same problem again and again with lots of different people, I mean, you might want to say like, have you thought about like how you might handle the situation differently? And even in that case, whether it's role playing or just advice from Tuffy, considering those other options or considering your own role in it might be easier with an AI than it is sitting in front of another human and having that conversation, right? So we're
100%.
finding that people really, like the average length of a session went from over time, like the initially like 13 minutes. Now it's up to 60 minutes a session on average. Now that ranges from 4 minutes to 140. So some things are really easy questions that get answered pretty quickly. But on average, people are really diving in deep and going back and forth with the AI and exploring these things. And they come back on average 14 times a month. So that's a lot of conversation with.
That's amazing. It's so cool. I'm thinking about this right now, that this would be for inside the hierarchy of an organization. Like usually when I'm using GPT or LLMs, it's for like a vendor conversation or a customer conversation or something external. This is going to be kind of like formed for an enterprise organization. So all the way up and down, different managers can report at different levels and have different levels of support depending on what they're doing. It sounds like kind of like an emotional Slack.
Yeah, except that anything you say in Slack can be known by the company, and what you say
That's
here
right.
is. And I would say, like, just to be clear, we have organizations of 10 people up to 5,000 people using the tool. So it's not really, we thought like, okay, big enterprises, lots of complexity, lots of change, lots of moving pieces. That would be the sweet spot. But actually, it's a lot of smaller, fast-growing companies that see the opportunity to have AI complement the manager and kind of answer a lot of the questions or perform a lot of the people side of management on behalf of managers so that they can scale and they can move fast.
For just to kind of look at the extremes here, from an HR standpoint, if somebody discloses something to you, then you are obligated to report it. So we could think about like if you have a medical condition, which is going to affect the insurance policy of the entire organization, or if you're accusing somebody of sexual harassment or something like that. Mm-hmm. So if someone's going to Tuffy with that information, how is it digested by the tool?
Yeah, it's a great question. So number one, we are not a reporting tool. We are a communications platform. And so you can go to Tuffy and have those conversations. We are not reporting that back to the organization. What we will do is try to help you understand why you should. So we want to give the individual user agency to make that call. But we want to build their competency so they understand why it's important to report it, why their organization wants them to report it, and in which way the organization would like them to report it. So that customization of like, this is where you go when, that's all really important. And then helping people understand what to expect once you get into a situation, to your point about, if there's a harassment claim. Well, a lot of people will say, what will my manager, let's just say it's the manager did something and you want to report it. A lot of people are really afraid how that's going to go down. And, we want to let people know exactly what they can expect. They'll ask, will my manager find out that I reported them? Well, yeah, there's going to be an investigation. They're going to be involved in that. But here's why, and here's what you can expect. And kind of build their confidence and courage to go forward and to make that call, because that's what the organization wants them to do.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
And again, perfect timing, because we just went through a really interesting era with kind of the DEI initiatives, which I think largely were net positive across the board of like, I believe like being empathetic and compassionate for people, particularly in the workplace, is very important, especially if it results, or maybe exclusively if it results in kindness and compassion in the organization. Now, a lot of the DEI stuff did not go that way, So you had the whole microaggression era where it was like, well, I have kind of graying hair and somebody said something about gray and it seemed to be inferring that there was something wrong with gray. But as a gray-haired person, it was offended. We kind of came through that era and it's waning now. I think probably a lot of, the safe spaces with coloring books for adults and these kind of things that were kind of poked at the news, people kind of realize like, the pendulum always goes too far and then it comes back. But as the pendulum's starting to come back, what you don't want is the pendulum to go too far the other way. And now it's all tough love and it's all, stern, tyrannical behavior. So people get confused, I think. I think I get confused of like, hey, how much
Yeah.
of this is my responsibility, just because I'm offended about something? Is there something wrong with the organization, or do I need to toughen up a little bit? So from like a tool perspective, it's very interesting. If it's not a reporting tool, it's not like a snitch on your coworker tool. Rather, it's just a communication device to say like, hey, if you're having a problem with a coworker, here's 3 ways you could deal with it, and the official escalation channels are this for the company if you choose to do so. And it sounds like that's kind of the application of the tool.
Yeah, and it's like one of the first things we talked about was like, it's not illegal to be a jerk. Like it's like
Yeah.
you don't go to HR with that. Like, right? Like there are a lot of things that upset us. So this is a place you can go and have those conversations. But I will say, to your point about DEI, and especially right now, when we work with an organization, we are leaning on them to tell us what their policies and process, how do they want to handle it? And we have this constitution layer within our organization that really defines the guardrails for the implementation, which is customized for every organization. So, example, right now the administration has a lot of ideas about how things should work, or executive orders, and some organizations are going with it and some are saying like, I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to handle this differently. And so we give them the opportunity to say, well, how do you want to handle gender issues? How do you want to handle bathroom issues? Whatever you want hard code, whatever you want Tuffy to say about those things, we can make Tuffy say those things. It's across the spectrum. And I will say, like, even state by state, we have to have some different guardrails. And we're working with our partner, Fisher Phillips, who is one of the top employment law firms in the planet. They're an investor and a partner of ours. They red team our product. They help us understand what's going on in case law and in trends, in legal trends across the globe. And they're advising their clients every day on whatever the administration is doing. So we benefit from that insight so that we can provide, an extension of that, if you will, through Tuffy.
Wow, what a minefield. Wow. There are a lot of banana peels
yes.
in there.
There are. I mean, that's what makes it really exciting. And I think,
Yeah.
The AI can actually handle that so well, where for humans, it's like, this is one of those areas where actually AI might be more empathetic, more consistent, and more expert at any given time than the average human who's trying to like cope with all of this change every single day.
Yeah. I tell you what, as an amateur actor, if you need help with that red team, I could be your guy. So be like, okay, I am a Southern gentleman that sells deer calls, and my business wants to bring Tuffy in. Let me go make sure it's representing my culture and values as good. But I mean, amateur actor, but also I could probably also pull off a couple other roles. Maybe a nonprofit in the Pacific Northwest. I want to make sure that my culture and values are being adequately conveyed by Tuffy.
Yeah, I will tell you, we did for the state of Hawaii. We're working with the Hawaii Employers Council, which is a network of over 700 companies, all based in Hawaii, and they helped us red team our product initially, and they are a big customer of ours and partner of ours. They said, "Oh, KBJ, we love Tuffy, but Tuffy's a little New York." Like that was pretty early on. And not surprising, that's where we're from. So maybe it was a little too direct. And they said, do you think that we could give Tuffy some aloha spirit? And we love that idea and that challenge. And they gave us redacted transcripts of conversations between Hawaiian people talking about everything from management and HR to leadership, and some great leaders transcripts, how they communicate, and we were able to give Tuffy aloha spirit, learning from all of that content, and then working with them to tweak some things. But yeah, so and
So
the and
cool.
the helpfulness rating, interestingly enough, when you customize that, went from 88% as rated by users to 99.6%. And that was like the big shift. So culture does matter, and getting those things right, like that really makes an impact.
This episode is brought to you by MoBurst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. MoBurst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product market fit or ready to accelerate growth, MoBurst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At MoBurst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, MoBurst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result? Marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At MoBurst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to MoBurst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together. Incredible. So one thing that like technology has been trying to do forever is get inside of us in some way. And I'll say it like this, like now, like the chat function was popularized and it really just, I think, is responsible for the explosion of AI because it's so easy. And it's like the large language models give the appearance of the intelligence part. So you can, but you're using your fingers, you're typing on a keyboard and it's going into a screen. Well, we've had, AR goggles. So it's trying to get into our visual field, it closer to our face, closer to our brain. And then of course you have like AirPods, which if you're listening to something in AirPods, the experience of listening to something with headphones is that the sound is coming from the middle of your brain. So essentially with audio, you're getting to the middle of your brain. So when you're thinking about like Tuffy and like, how are you going to get Tuffy closer? How does it become more value to me? It almost reminds me of like Cyrano de Bergerac. Oh, I don't know if I pronounced that right. But, it's that story about the poet who's horrifically ugly. And so he has some other guy, trying to woo the girls he's after. And so he's using his words and he's giving him poetry and like whispering in his ear. And this guy like is able to like, rizz up this lady. But then in the end, they figure out, oh, it's this person behind the thing. But I just wonder if that, how soon is it going to be? Or how soon do you think it is that like, with my AirPods, it will be able to whisper in my ear of things I should be saying to my manager. If I'm in a sit-down manager meeting, and it's going to start like giving me suggestions,
Yeah, I mean, that's the vision, that's the ambition. I think, we're testing all the AI tools out, the voice AI tools. We're working also with the mother of Alexa, Joanna Pina-Bickley. She's advising us on some of the stuff and the importance of latency and, making it a very human interaction. So it's not, listen, like it's coming. I would love to say it's going to be here by the fall. Like, things are happening. Like, when is it coming? Like, let's go. Every month we see a lot of progress on the voice front, and getting it to be natural is it's just a matter of time. I don't know. I wish I had the magic ball to tell you exactly when it's coming.
Well, the wild thing is it seems like science fiction, but it's not. I mean, like Google Meets has already released for their Zoom product, whatever, Google Meets, that you can do real life translation. And so if I'm speaking to you in French and you're speaking to me in Spanish, it could translate it to both of us in real time.
Yeah.
Which is staggering, So now, like, it's just a tangential move to like have AI now whispering in your ear or just recording all the time. There was that new hardware release. Of course, they didn't say what the hardware was, but Johnny Ives and Sam Altman, created
Yes.
some startup, and OpenAI bought it for $6 billion
Oh, crazy. I know. I'm
with.
excited to play around with that thing.
So what do you think the device is? Do you think it's a wearable? Do you think it's glasses? Do you think it's like AirPods? Like, what do you think
I mean,
Johnny Ives is
yeah, I
designing?
feel like, yeah, it's a great question. And I feel like it's more like an Alexa type device in that
Like
it
a
will
puck?
live in, yeah, that it's going to live in your home and probably have some computer vision as well. Like I can imagine it understanding your emotional state as an example. I think, we've seen this in hospital rooms, right? Like where tech is monitoring how people are doing. And having another being in your space with you that can listen to you and understand you and maybe even pick up on your physical cues, like, your facial expressions and body language, the way that an aura does. Like an aura ring kind of gives you all this feedback, right? So, I could imagine someday being in a meeting and having in my ear the message like, hey, right now you might want to just take a beat, count to 10, let other people talk, gather your thoughts, right? Like that kind of real-time coaching that, I think will become more normal. The other way that I think, the other vision for this is like the Neuralink vision, where it's going to live inside your brain and it won't be an external device. But I think in the short term, people are going to feel a lot more comfortable with a device like that living in their space with them and giving them that feedback.
Yeah, it's stunning to me how Apple has missed this. Like you said, the Aura Ring, but think about the Apple Watch. Like it can already take your temperature, your pulse. You know, it could probably
Yeah.
smell you. Who knows what that thing can do? But like,
No. Yeah, I think like having had the Apple Watch from the beginning, and the shift to the Aura Ring for me is about ambient knowledge and ambient signals, right? Like it should like the iWatch drives me crazy because it's constantly pinging and notifying and like vibrating and doing stuff where I'm like, that's just too much. It's not. I can't
yeah,
stay in a flow state with that going on. So the more subtle this new technology is, and the more it can just live in your walls, like live in your space with you without being annoying and prodding you and pinging you, I think the better. I think it's the anti-social media kind of thing. It's just going to be quiet and helpful.
I agree. And I never got the Apple Watch for the same thing. I mean, even when you're talking to somebody with an Apple Watch, they're like constantly like looking at their wrist and tapping, and you're like, dude, doesn't it drive you crazy? I mean, it's wild. But I'm just wondering what they're building, because Alexa would be cool, because then it's like it's not on you. That's the other thing too, is that like it's going to be challenging to have an AI device that's recording all the time. And I've got one called B Computer, because people will see it and they're like, dude, don't record this. I mean, that came out of the Google Glass, 15
Yeah.
years ago, that people were like, dude, I don't want you like recording me, you know?
Yeah. I
But
have the
I mean,
pod, same thing where I feel like I want to love it, but it's so obvious to other people that I'm got this device that's recording things, and it just doesn't feel natural yet.
yeah, it's coming. It's coming really quick. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to get those Meta glasses, because I want those too. I do want to just experiment with recording everything at all time as much as I possibly can, all the context I possibly can, largely because I know how terrible my memory is. Like I can't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday. I can't remember my wife's middle name. I'm just kidding. I can. But there's a lot of things I can't remember that I would love to have, like a different kind of searchable memory that's not full of holes and has 100% fidelity. So I'm bullish. I want to get that device immediately. I really want it to be the AirPods or maybe it's glasses or something that I already have. You know, I mean, the Apple Watch is perfect because everybody already wears it. So like if it just starts recording everything in real time, so you could say like, oh, I know in 3 days when I'm getting ready to publish this episode, I'm gonna be like, oh man, what was that one thing I wanted to remember from KVJ that we talked about? And I could just, just go
Yeah,
search it.
but we have this with our AI note takers, right?
Exactly. And it's
And
brilliant. I love it.
yeah. Hey, can you hold on just 1 second? I'm sorry about this, but people just came in and I just want to let them know what I'm doing.
Please, please. No problem.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, it's cool. My daughter might come in here any second, actually.
There you
She's
go.
graduating high school tomorrow, so she's getting all
Oh,
her.
congrats. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be so cool. She's got a lot of chords and things. She had kind of a legendary high school career. So yeah, I definitely understand the interruption. It's
Nice.
no big deal at all.
Thanks.
Also, thank you for going with me science fiction a little bit because the next phase of this, well, I suppose I started this podcast and newsletter because there is such a mounting tension, anxiety, and excitement about AI,
Yeah.
broadly. And
Yeah.
as a means to like kind of be caught in the current, I suppose. Like, I was always told that if you fall in the river, you put your feet downstream and you float.
Yeah.
Don't fight the current. And it's the speed of change is happening so quickly that it's hard not to fight the change. You're just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So there's an exploratory nature to the podcast and to the newsletter, largely because from the conversations I've had, nobody knows. Everyone's just like, whoa, what's Sam Altman gonna do? And it changes everything so quick.
Yeah,
So
I think everyone should stop worrying about what he's going to do, though, and like they should just start doing it themselves, right?
what do you think people should do with
Well,
AI? Like you're making a great tool that's super useful in a very specific case. So smart. That's what I see as being the best application. It's not working for AGI. Rather, it's just like solving one little problem to a very, very high standard.
yeah, I think there are a gazillion use cases and really interesting applications. Just to give you an example, one that I thought was really cool. The law firm that we're working with, they have an AI that will join a deposition with them. And during a deposition, if the person they're deposing says something differently from the previous time, then the AI will catch that instantly and propose questions for the lawyer to ask about that or give guidance, right? Like, so in every industry, there are going to be multiple individual use cases and applications where AI can do something really, really well and really helpful. And so I think when people think about their own work and where AI can help, just start to notice these are challenges that I have, or this is something that takes a while, or wouldn't it be great if? Those are all opportunities to apply AI. And it's, I think that overall, that AI is like this tidal wave of opportunity and challenge. And you have, different kinds of people handling it different ways. I would put it in 3 categories. The first one is like they're sitting on the beach, they're enjoying the sunshine and kind of looking out at this wave that just looks pretty. And they're not doing anything. They're just sitting there. Maybe they're talking about it, but they don't even begin to comprehend how game-changing this is. And, I'm old enough to remember when SaaS started and the internet became an opportunity for business, right? And then mobile and social and, now AI. This is going to be a transformational technology. And so that sitting on the beach and watching is probably not going to work out well for you. The other two types, you've got like the people who run for the hills, and there are a lot of those right now saying like, I just don't like it. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going to, kind of move to higher ground and try to regulate this thing. I think that they're missing the opportunity of actually diving in and understanding it and trying to figure out how to work with it. It is an inevitable technology. And then finally, there are those of us who are like grabbing the surfboard and running out, like paddling out and trying to figure out how can we ride this thing? How can we make the best of it? And the technology can help every single individual, have a happier, healthier way of working, lifestyle, all of those things. But not if they don't participate. Like the best way to create the best technology is to get involved and start playing, start trying, like see what it can do for you. And now with vibe coding and all that jazz, like you really can start to create your own solutions for pretty much anything.
So cool. What is something that you wish existed right now in AI as a tool that doesn't?
I still want voice to get a lot better. I'm also a big fan of the digital twinning, but I think it, like HeyGen as an example, some of those tools, but it has a ways to go. In terms of use cases, I think, I don't know, like I am using AI so much in every aspect of my life. I guess at some point it's going to get a little more predictive and be more of a friend in terms of like, hey, because we know, like, okay, so the Aura Ring will say, like, I think you're coming down with something before I even recognize that, right? Like,
Yeah.
we could see AI in our lives start to give us hints that something else is going on a lot sooner, right? And we talked about Joanna Pina Bickley, who was the mother of Alexa. She's currently got an AI company called Vibes AI, and she is able to do detection of early onset Alzheimer's and other mental or brain disorders, let's call it that, like ADHD and things like that, all from your voice. And the Alzheimer's, apparently the dementia and Alzheimer's signifiers in your voice are able to detect deterioration 10 years in advance of any other medical device. Like it already shows up in our voices. Those are the kinds of things where technology could start to tell us how we really are doing and what we can do about it. So I just see it, we've got a lot of genius people working on these technologies. I think, I don't know if I'm not coming up with the next use case, everybody else. Tough.Day, and like I'm really excited about where we're going to go with that. And then, I know every aspect.
That's what's interesting too about like how smart it is, how smart it's getting, the things we can do with it, but also like kind of how dumb humans still are. Like, I mean, the temptation to be like, if you're a boss and be like, oh, we can tell that those 2 new interns are definitely hungover and there's a 99% likelihood that they're hooking up. We can tell that from their AI puck that Sam Altman gave them.
I think they should go have fun, actually.
Yeah, like, oh, they're awesome. Give them a promotion.
The thing about technology is that in AI and other technology is it can feel rather cold. It can feel rather distant, and this is like we're talking about bits and bytes and ones and zeros and what have you. But actually, the promise of all this technology is superhuman, and that means more heart, more soul, more humanity, and that's kind of exciting. I don't think that that's going to go away. I hope that people are not monitoring. As my intern.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
are things to do with AI.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite AI tools?
Oh gosh. Well, I definitely use Perplexity as my Google. It saves me a lot of time. I definitely use ChatGPT, just broadly speaking. Certainly our own technology is my favorite.
Yeah.
But I think it is the technology that is already in things that we overlook, like the Aura, what have you. Like we are engaging with AI through banks, through every industry, healthcare, what have you. And I think we're all forgetting that, or many people forget that we're already living with AI the way that we are already living with the internet, and we're already living with mobile and electricity and all of those things. So, I think it's through better service, better products, better offerings, better experiences in life. My favorite experiences might be driven by AI without AI being the point.
Yeah, I love that. If you were entering college today with the understanding of where we're headed, what would you study?
Anything in the arts, I think, the humanities, and, we're going to need more people who are great negotiators, people who are deep thinkers, who can problem solve and think through the multiple dimensions of the experience that someone is having in order to know how to apply AI or not. So I think the MFA is kind of the new MBA, and people who can think creatively are, that's why you go to college. I think you should go to college to learn how to think better and more deeply.
Yeah, totally agree. I love that. And I mean, I don't mean to judge it, but optimistically, I mean, the more powerful these tools get, the more we're really reliant that every single member of planet Earth as a human is going to like see humanity and planet Earth as something we should nurture and take care of. Because if you have the capacity to resequence a COVID virus and it costs $300 to produce it in your digital printer, 3D printer, like literally you have to make sure that people walk outside and look for beauty as opposed to
Yes.
looking for problems,
Yes. I think to your point also, like a lot of the movies that we see today about AI are like so dark and scary. They're like very Black Mirror. But actually, I think we need to think about a more beautiful world that we all want to live in, and including with nature, and see how AI can help superpower people to enjoy those things and to make the world, solve big problems, make the world a better place, and enjoy ourselves while we're doing it. Like there's an opportunity to really enjoy that beauty and have fun.
Totally. I love the promise of AI as take your 8-hour workday to 2 hours. But instead, for me, it just turned my 8 hours into 10x the productivity. So, but I enjoy work. I understand the sentiment behind that. It's cool. As we're wrapping up here, can I hit you with the lightning round for some
Sure.
facts and figures about the business? Okay. A website, Tough.Day. Love the domain. So good. How
Thank
big
you.
is the team?
11 people, lean and mighty.
Just give us a description of your ideal customers right now for Tough.Day.
Well, I will say, so typically we are targeting tech industry, professional services, and I'll say fast growing companies with, let's say, 100 people to 2,000 is kind of the sweet spot right now.
Yeah.
They move fast and they're stretched thin and they need extra help. And so, we can deliver on that easily. I will also say we are launching Tuffy for You and Tuffy for Teams. So any
Great.
individual can come on, swipe a card, and get going. And that was born out of so many people telling me, like, I don't want to, frankly, wait for my organization to go through this whole process. Can I just start paying and get Tuffy myself? So, after a few hundred people we gave free access to, or like, hey, wait a minute, like, let's just start charging for it. And so next week you will be able to just come to our website, sign up, and start using Tuffy.
So cool. Exclusive for the podcast. Next week, you can go
There you
sign
go.
up.
Yes, exactly.
I love
Yes.
it. Who in the organization's making purchasing decisions? Is it the HR department? Is it the CEO founder? Like, who's bringing you in?
Yeah, it is. It is HR. It is learning, but it's general counsel is actually one. right? Because we are actually helping mitigate risk for them. And the CFO is excited to have us on board because workforce is their highest cost. So if they can reduce attrition and the expense of re-recruiting and just kind of build a healthier workforce that's high performing, like they want that.
Makes so much sense.
At the end of the day, like we're reducing the number of grievances before they escalate, and those escalations can cost a lot. I guess the statistic is $20 billion in the US, not including legal fees and payouts, right? So the sooner you can address an employee's concerns and needs and help them get focused and get back to work, the better. That's like everyone in the company cares about that. The CEO definitely, the CFO definitely, and HR is a stakeholder. And like I said, now managers just saying like, oh my God, I just need this. So
yeah, it's amazing. What's the best place online to connect with you?
Definitely LinkedIn. It's K Von Jan. Unfortunately, KVJ was already taken.
Oh.
Yeah.
K Von Jan. I pronounced it. Now I'm self-conscious. I pronounced it wrong.
Jan. I know. Listen, this is why KVJ emerged, right?
Von Jan is awesome, though. It rhymes.
Oh, thank you.
That's great. Awesome. Is there anything I should have asked you but didn't?
I can't think of anything right now. You did a phenomenal job covering a lot of ground.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I like to ask that last question because I feel like it absolves me from having a terrible interview. Like, well, I asked you, so no.
Yeah.
That was great.
I think the one thing that like a lot of people will ask about, or I find myself talking about a lot, is that, in the spirit of the future, where is the future going with managers? And I liken it to the Avengers, like thinking about every single individual, and Tony Stark might be the right one to think about, but any superhero has this awareness of their own superpowers and they're able to wield them. And they don't need a manager to tell them what to do. And I think the other thing that's really interesting about that metaphor is like when the superheroes come together, sometimes they lead, sometimes they follow, they figure it out together. And I think that kind of vision for the future where we're self-aware, we understand our strengths, our weaknesses, we know how to come together and collaborate, we know how to share leadership and navigate tricky situations to build something great, to solve important problems. That's what Gen Zers, young kids, are doing every day in video games. They come together and they don't even know each other. They're from all over the world and they get in the multiplayer games and they just they figure out their role and what they can do and they go, slay the dragon or whatever the challenge is. And I think, where we're headed from a future work perspective is exactly that. Like we all will be super powered to go perform our best and do it together and have fun doing it.
I love that presentation in the future, and I am working with you to make it happen. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
I love it. Thank you so much, Ryan. It was a pleasure.
Hey, founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.